Yeah, I've relapsed. Don't get me wrong, I've been having an absolute blast playing marathon. Blast? Don't get me wrong, I've been having an absolute blast playing Marathon, and I will be making a separate video talking about the post-launch experience. But for as great as Marathon is, it doesn't scratch that particular itch. The one that so far only Tarkov has been able to scratch, and I can't quite put my finger on why. Something about how slow and clunky everything is, it just feels good somehow. Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome, maybe it's comfort food, I'm not sure. Let's take a look together at what makes Tarkov so damn addicting, its issues, and the solutions. It may be a partial bias why I find this aesthetic so enjoyable, because I've always been fascinated by everything Russian. The people, the language, culture, and the music. I mean, look at this place looks like ass, but it's a pretty nice ass. One that bounces just right. Battlestate Games began development of Escape from Tarkov in 2012 and launched into closed alpha in late 2016. And it kinda shows, because while the game does look pretty good, it's definitely a bit dated graphically compared to newer titles within the genre. The city of Tarkov is a fictional region somewhere around here. And honestly, I don't know what the story is of this place. Something about a company called Terra Group who did some funky science, and now the whole region is a lawless no man's land. There definitely is a story and a ton of lore to go through, but it just never interested me enough. I play Tarkov for the cock and ball torture, I don't need a lore reason to enjoy that. Missions have an overarching story, which I do read, mainly because it's necessary to know how to finish a mission in the first place, but I couldn't tell you what the actual story is. Despite that, every map in Tarkov feels like it could be a real place. There's a ton of both minor and major environmental storytelling in things like blockade placements, scribbles and graffiti on walls, the clutter across the ground. It's a world that feels lived in and like it existed before we, the players, arrived here. Which is further solidified by the traders who all have their own backstories, personalities and speech mannerisms. The streets of Tarkov and Ground Zero both feel like they're modeled from a real city. You could even argue that these maps are poorly designed from a gameplay perspective, but they're also wonderfully crafted to feel like a genuine place. An actual war-torn city people had to abandon after Terra Group did whatever they did. After some surface-level research, it seems like Terra Group is basically just the Umbrella Corporation, but less cool. How it feels to move your character around in this world also gives a strong feeling of connection to it. Your boots feel firmly planted on the ground. The fact that it takes a moment for a sprint to begin and end, animations are slow and methodical. It's all a masterclass in immersion. Now I do have to say that the inertia rework they did a couple of years ago feels absolutely terrible, and it's one of the things that I change right away whenever I play. More on how that works later. Do you know what also helps tremendously with immersion? Tarkov has an abundance of incredibly high quality soundbites for simple things like turning in place, branches scraping across your jacket, and of course the guns rattling and clicking as you move around. You sound heavy while running, each foot hitting the ground with a solid thump unlike anything I've heard from other games. There is also a ton of ambient noises like wind, birds, dogs, all contributing to making the world feel alive. Combine that with distant gunfire and it almost feels cozy, in a way. It's an interesting juxtaposition of a high-stress situation in a calm environment which doesn't care about the war. Except of course the few maps inside the actual city of Tarkov. Once you extract from one of these maps, or fail to, sometimes, you of course get taken back to the main menu. And this is a huge reason the just one more raid mentality keeps repeating. Because every piece of the soundtrack while in these menus are absolute bangers. All the music start off slow and a bit muted, a great way to calm down after dying to some bullshit or extracting from a tense raid. But some of the songs evolve into an almost metalcore vibe. Check it out. It definitely helps that I am a walking stereotype of a Nordic metalhead, but the high energy of some parts of the soundtrack makes me pumped to get back into the fight even if I just lost my best gear. While sitting around in the menus and managing my inventory, planning what mission to tackle next, or building a new gun, I often find myself waiting for a song to end before beginning my next raid. The soundtrack is composed by Geneburn? I think it's Geneburn, which just happens to be none other than Nikita Buyanov himself, the founder and CEO of Battlestate Games. The way he incorporates radio chatter, mechanical noises, and combat sounds into the mix once again affirm the connection to the rest of the game and world. It sets the entire tone of the game, and it's a huge factor in shaping Tarkov's personality. Most of the music give a sense of melancholy and hopelessness. It's a dire situation we're in after all, and the future looks grim. Some tracks then lead into bombastic action, emulating the stress of combat with kick drums which seldom stick to a solid rhythm without throwing in a couple extra beats. Almost like it's imitating gunfire, adding to the frantic feeling caused by the distorted guitars. I'm beginning to feel like a broken record at this point, pun absolutely intended, but there's so many parts of Tarkov that just feels so well thought out and well executed. Speaking of which, Escape from Tarkov can be divided into 3 core pillars: running raids, upgrading your hideouts, and playing around with the gunsmith. I would argue the gunsmith makes up a higher percentage than the other 2. Tarkov can easily be described as a gun porn simulator, with the meticulous detail and customization options available in the gunsmith. Sure, you can just look up what Big Shot Mr. Streamerman recommends or copy a meta build from Reddit, but where's the fun in that? The fun is in putting together not only a weapon with good stats, but also one that looks good. Because, as we all know, good fashion increases your DPS by at least 15%. Myself, I tend to make a build for every occasion. Close quarters, great distances, something in between, nighttime raids, or just for plain fun. Unfortunately, Tarkov has been outshined by Arena Breakout when it comes to the gun sound effects. Yeah, ABI sucks in many regards, but the guns over there sound absolutely Krispy Kreme fresh, and Tarkov sadly falls behind a little. However, Tarkov's guns by no means sound bad. All of these things I mentioned combined is definitely the core reason why I keep coming back to Tarkov. It's just a plain well-made game, but it does have some flaws. Flaws that were honestly enough to make me stop playing the game for a long time. There's the rampant cheating, which Battlestate doesn't seem to want to fix, and why would they? It's free money, because the cheaters keep buying new copies. Can't forget to mention the extreme desyncs, horrendous queue times and bugs which have existed for a decade without fixes. Yes, I am talking about the random volume spike glitch, which drives me nuts. But there is a way to fix damn near every issue that Tarkov has. If you watched my video on ABI, you heard me mention the Forbidden version. Well, that version is the single-player Tarkov mod, or SPT for short. You do need a legit copy of the game for this mod to work, and I do honestly think that, in spite of all of the issues Battlestate Games has, they do deserve at least the price they're asking for the standard edition of Tarkov. I've played this game for hundreds of hours, most of which in this mod, and it wouldn't feel right to just steal this product I've been working on for so many years. So, if any of this sounds interesting, I do recommend picking up at least the standard edition. All other editions are cringe and bad and I hate them, but I do think that it's worth $60 for the potentially endless amount of entertainment you can gain from it. SPT does a few things. Primarily, it just gives you your own server and a new client to connect with. The live installation is completely untouched and can still be played as normal. You can choose any of the usual editions to start off with, and a few custom profiles, including my personal favorite, 0 to Hero. It's a pretty common playstyle in regular Tarkov, at least among content creators, to queue into a raid with absolutely nothing but a knife and see how far you can make it. But with this profile, you straight up start with nothing but a knife. The stash is completely empty, you have no money, and 0 trader reputation. Good luck. There are other PMCs, and they behave basically like roaming scavs. They're all horribly unbalanced and quite literally have wall hacks and aimbot. Ref's quests have been modified to not require the Arena DLC since that game mode isn't available, and the flea market is emulated with randomized sellers and buyers. That's roughly all the mod really does. But that doesn't sound like much fun, does it? Well, yeah, we need to install mods for our mod, of course. Do you want a more traditional FPS HUD complete with ammo counter and a compass showing extraction points and quest objectives? You can have that. Maybe some more traders who sell new items? And then making those traders into anime girls? Perhaps you want loot to be highlighted on the ground? Sure, can do that. Friendly AC 130 above? Yes, sir. Do you desperately need to use the bathroom right now, but you're too far away from the extracts? Well, just hit pause. You can even have a pink FN scar which makes hentai noises. There's a surprising amount of weebs making mods for this game. There are several hundred, if not thousands, of mods available, which lets you make Tarkov into the perfect game for you. The only mods I believe are essential are Solarin's AI modifications and its dependencies, which makes the bots have a more human-like behavior. It gets rid of the wall hacking and aimbotting, making the AI rely on sounds and lighting to detect you. And Server Value Modifier by Ghost Phoenix, which lets you modify nearly every aspect of the game, such as how big certain containers are and what you're allowed to put in them, how much health each body part has, enable all extraction points to be available for you to use no matter where you spawn. I believe nearly every Skyrim player has sat there for hours on the Steam Workshop downloading hundreds of mods and setting up a load order for it all to work. Well, that's exactly what I've been doing with Tarkov. Except I actually end up playing the game unlike those Skyrim players. I would know, I have been there. Take two! Here we go! This is why I still cannot escape from Tarkov. Not only does it have a very solid foundation, but it's also just so much fun scrolling through mods and tailoring my experience to be exactly what I want it to be. You can make the game extremely easy or substantially more difficult than live Tarkov. How about a mod that actually enables radiation and toxicity? Or maybe you want to play in VR? Some people somehow made an actual functioning VR mod for this game. I don't understand how. Shout out to people far smarter than me, man. Y'all rule. Escape from Tarkov is, at its core, an excellent game that nothing else really compares to, at least to my knowledge. And the modding scene only makes it better in my opinion. I understand that to some people there's very little satisfaction in only playing against bots. They want to compete against other players, and that's totally valid. It feels great to defeat another player within an inch of your life and then steal all of their stuff and making it out alive. I get it. But live Tarkov has too many issues, at least in my opinion, to be satisfying. So if you want to duke it out with me online, you can find me on Tausetti4. But until next we meet, remember to piss with the toilet seat down, and have a wonderful day.